Hi there. I'm going to be demonstrating how to make these kinds of coils using a extruder, some extruded coils. So what I have here is a real nice little coil that I pulled out of an extruder. It does have some little imperfections, so I like to smooth that out a bit and kind of make it moist so that it is gonna curl nice and easy for my circles that I'm making. And then what I'm gonna be doing here is just showing you how I put this all together. So you have that as an example when you're making your mold, using your bowl as a mold to just kind of use this as one of your ways to create a design. All right, so I'm gonna give this a little spritz, and I want to be real consistent with the size here. So what I probably should do is just kind of draw on my canvas with a pencil or something, kind of the size that I'm going for. Those two have already been joined, but I'm just gonna kind of draw it on my canvas just because it's just canvas. And it's just a nice little guide. All right, that's the circle I'm going for. So I'm gonna set that back in there, give it a little spritz so it's not drying out. And I can just kind of put my coil on top of that little circle I just made. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off this end so it's nice and smooth, ready to go for when I want to join these two pieces together. And you can see some little cracks forming here, very typical. It's gonna happen for you too at home, so I'm glad that that happens so you guys can see exactly what happens for me and how I fix it. I just smooth it over with my fingers, okay? All right, so I'm going for another roll kind of like this. So I think I'm gonna cut about here just to get it going and then really trim it up once it's inside here. So I can see exactly where I need to cut it off, and I'd say it's about there, okay? So inside my bowl, I have a little bit of saran wrap, and I'm using the inside of my bowl as my mold. That is my mold for the shape of my bowl, my decorative bowl. And I can see that I have some little details to pull off here. Try to be real neat if you can. You can always go back and clean it up with a paintbrush and some water, but the neater you are as you're joining these, the better. All right, so I'm gonna make sure I have some good slip to put in between here to hold these pieces together. If you're not using slip, your pieces are gonna fall apart. It's gonna happen, okay? Oh, I have a little bit of cracks forming here. I can always just kind of give it a spray to help it be cooperative while I'm trying to shape. And the cracks do happen, guys, so it's okay. All right, now I'm just gonna kind of tap this on my surface a little bit and make sure I get the shape that I want. Use my finger to help form the inside and try to be real consistent. I can use my needle tool to work on the inside here and help smooth that out. I like working on canvas for this because the canvas is going to hold it in place. So you should have some canvas at home to keep your clay in place. Now, as I'm looking at my piece here and what I have made, I can see I have where my imperfections are, and I'm just trying to smooth those out best I can. Can always clean it up more later, but I try to do a lot of cleaning before I join my pieces together. Okay, so now I have another piece that fits perfectly in that little circle that I just drew on my canvas, and now it is about ready to be joined with the other two pieces. I'm going to put those on here. And since I only have a small number, I'm taking it from my bowl and I'm putting it on my canvas. I'm going back and forth, no big deal. You decide how you want to do it, if you want to work inside your bowl. Now, as I'm joining this third piece here, I am being careful not to score in the areas where in between that you're going to be able to see. I'm trying to keep that free of scratch marks so that I can, use that area to already be cleaned up and nice. And I'm just going to score where this is going to touch the other parts of clay. Okay, so there's areas in there that don't get scored. So be careful, don't score the entire piece. And now I'm going to put those together. Okay, so now you're getting the idea, and I can add another video to show you guys my progress. So what I have so far is a kind of imperfect design. I say imperfect because it has not been cleaned up very much, but I will be going back and doing a little bit more cleanup later. All right, so now I'm gonna put this inside my bowl, and I'm starting to build up a really beautiful design. Okay, I'm gonna make one more while we're sitting here. I'm just gonna pull a coil from my pile here. I don't need a whole lot. Don't need a whole lot. I'm keeping my pile all covered up. Like I had said before, your pieces are they're gonna crack. And they're also gonna come to you with, if you use an extruder, they're also gonna come to you with imperfections, like that little pinhole. That's where a little air pocket was. And when I pulled all the clay through the extruder, you hear pop, 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 pop. And what that is all your little air pockets kind of exploding in there and releasing air. Good thing for me, because obviously air pockets are not good for clay if you're gonna put it in a kiln, right? All right, so I'm just gonna smooth out my little imperfections, those little cracks that form. I'll bet there are professional artists that that know how to work with clay so well and have the exact perfect consistency to where their clay just does not crack like this, but I'm not that person, okay? My clay cracks, and that happens to me, frequently, so I fix it. Like I've told you guys before, I'm an amateur. I am not a professional ceramic artist. I've only dabbled here and there, and I like what I do so far. I think that is good enough to help you guys at least see some tricks and tools to make ceramics beautiful. All right. And that crack just keeps wanting to keep cracking. Just gonna smooth it over. You don't want anybody to see those cracks, so you gotta be real careful. I mean, sometimes you have to abandon a piece if it just keeps cracking. Sometimes you just gotta start fresh. That happens a lot. All right, I think I've got my circle about ready to go, so I'm gonna score it again. Score, and then add my slip. Okay. Good to go. Just using my tools to smooth over those imperfections. Got to get rid of the crumbles. And turn it around. Smooth over those imperfections. And then I am almost ready to join this with the other trio. And this time I'm going to work inside the bowl. The more you touch the clay, the more it dries out. So, you know, I don't want my clay drying out prematurely. I want it to stay moist so I can keep working with it. I've already left it exposed for a really long time now. So what you're going to see, and I'm going to repeat myself a couple times here, you must keep your clay covered up with plastic, okay? So I have some plastic sitting on my table here. I'm going to join these pieces, and then I'm going to cover them up with plastic after I spray them. Now when I cover these up with plastic in the end, I'm going to make sure that I'm also wrapping the entire bowl with plastic. I'm going to put plastic in here, I'm going to wrap them all completely, and then the whole bowl is going to get wrapped up. Okay, that's important, or your pieces are going to dry out. I'm making sure that each time I need to slip and score, that I always go over that seam, that seam ends up being at one of the areas that gets connected, so that that seam doesn't come apart. Now I'm going to be slipping and scoring at 2 different areas because my clay is going to touch 2 different pieces in here. So I will also slip and score those pieces, so they're all ready to go. So all the pieces that are joining together are going to have been slipped and scored. Very important. Almost done with our demonstration for today. So I'm joining all these pieces, and right now they are looking good. They do have some imperfections. They are not perfect. I will clean them up more later. So I'm going to grab some plastic. And while I'm working on my other coils, keep this nice and tight in here, so that, notice that I'm pushing down around my pieces so that they stay covered up, because otherwise, believe me, they're going to dry out. The longer you keep them exposed to the air, the higher your chance of drying them out. So if you were all done for the day, you would also wrap this up with, say, a grocery bag, and make sure you get as much air out of there, and then set it, you know, away from people or animals. Put it up high where nobody's going to mess with it. All right, that's our demonstration for today. Thank you for watching.